guys, welcome back to Rocket Gyan, my fellow space tubers. Today we are here to witness one of a unique launch of its kind, and yes, it's a unique launch because today Roscosmos and Cosmos will be launching a Soyuz rocket carrying the Oneweb satellites. So if you don't know what are OneWeb satellites and everything, so I'll tell you everything about it. So don't worry, and yeah, just look forward to this launch. You will be very happy to see it. And talking about this launch, so we need to be knowing about the carrier rocket itself. So let's have a look at it. Here we go. We have the Soyuz rocket. So how does this Soyuz rocket, what it is and how does it look like? So it is a medium launcher, as you can see here, and it can carry around 3.2 tons to geotransfer orbit and 4.4 tons to sun synchronous orbit. That's its capacity. Then it's how, if you ask me how many stages it has around 3 stages. These are the boosters it has. Then the central core stage, then the third stage, which is upper stage, and then we have an optional Fregat upper stage also. Okay, so talking about the boosters, so this is how the boosters look like, and they separate in a very unique nature, and the separation is also very beautiful to see, and that separation in event is known as Coriolis cross. What it forms, because it was developed by Coriolis in Russia. So yeah, these boosters run on RD-107A engines, and which are powered by liquid fuel as RP1 and the liquid oxygen as its fuel. So every part of this rocket runs on the same fuel, RP1 and LOX. Okay, and those engines runs on gas generator power cycle, and yeah, this is the 4 boosters, and around 118 seconds after the liftoff, these 4 boosters separate out of the rocket, and the separation is very beautiful to see. So this is about the boosters. So now we can have a look at the central core stage. This is how the central core stage looks like. So notice that it is like a tapered here. I mean, it is not fully circular, cylindrical, as I should say, because it has to accommodate the booster sections also. And since it has to accommodate booster section, this kind of structure for a rocket becomes highly stable for the wind direction. And this thing runs on RD-108A engine with the 4 combustion chambers, as you can see, and the 4 nozzles. And these nozzles, you can see here, are basically used to control the roll of the rocket. Okay, and they burn on same fuel, the liquid oxygen, and RP1 as its fuel, one for 286 seconds. That's its ISP. This thing which you see, it's an ISP. ISP means the mileage of the rocket, you can say that. Then we have this interstage and the third stage. So this third stage has 2 variants in it. STA launcher, which runs on RD-0110 engine, and STB, which runs on RD-0124 engine. Today the launch will be with STB configuration, and yeah, that's the thing. This also runs on gas generator cycle with the liquid fuel and RP1 and oxygen as its fuel. Okay, then the Fregat upper stage. So this upper stage, today they will be having this upper stage for this rocket, because they are launching around 36 satellites into space, and to be launched into a precise orbit, and to, you can say, separate at some different orbits for those satellites, it needs to have one upper stage which can propel its propulsion, and which can which can actually do the propulsion in space and change the orbit. So this thing runs on UDMH and NTO as its fuel. If you are wondering why is it not working for this RP1 and LOX, the simple reason is the multiple times it has to ignite. This is the hypergolic fuels which it uses, and this fuel does not require any igniter. Other things require igniter. RP1 and LOX requires igniter, and they don't want to carry uh, much of igniter into the space rather than the fuel into this upper stage. So that's why it has. And also the storability and you can say maintenance of this thing is this fuel is much easier than the RP1 and LOX. Then we have the payload fairing, and in the payload fairing today we will be having 36 satellites of OneWeb itself. So hi Angel, hi Preet, hi Palak Soni. Yes, I just love space science, rocket science, everything. Hi Sandesh, thanks Preet. Yes, all 36 sats are of OneWeb, and yes. So now we can have a look at we actually have a look at what rocket is. Now we can have a look at what OneWeb satellites are. So here we have the OneWeb satellites. You can see here that this is, well, this video pretty much explains about its satellite, but in short, I must say that this satellite constellation, it's a satellite constellation in space, and it will be internet providing satellite constellation. So you can say it's a direct competitor to the Starlink constellation, because that also is will be powering the and will be transmitting the internet, you can say the satellite internet, and same will be the OneWeb. Only difference between those two is the orbital altitude. You can say the Starlink satellites works at 550 kilometer altitude, and these satellites, the OneWeb satellites, works at 1200 kilometer altitude. But the traditional internet which you are using comes from a satellite which is in geosynchronous orbit, which is around 30,000 to 40,000 kilometer above the surface. So since it is closer to the surface of the earth, hence the latency of the internet is much low for this thing. And this is, since this is a constellation which is to cover all over the earth, so you can say it will be providing internet to every section on the earth, no matter where you live, village, polar region. This has one more advantage, that it will be covering the polar regions also. The Starlink will not be covering the polar regions. It will be like the Canada. It's like the upper part of the Canada. That's it, what it is aiming for. But this thing is aiming for whole coverage of Earth. And total satellites it is aiming for right now is 648 satellites in space. But it has filed for one satellite expansion contract, in which it has to go for 48,000 satellites. So yeah, so now we can have a look at the video and let's understand what it is all about. So
since the beginning, the World Wide Web has never been worldwide. But OneWeb's new and truly global 5G ready network will fix that. Say you're working on the edge of the world and need to do a video call. Perhaps you're mid-ocean or mid-air. Wherever you are, you'll have a signal. OneWeb will connect your device through a customized terminal that can be as small as a briefcase and just as compact.
This is how its satellite dish will look like.
Whatever your location, the terminal encrypts your data and sends it at high speed to our satellite fleet passing overhead. These spacecraft are radically innovative, built in our own factory at 1/50th the traditional time and cost, shrunk to the size of a washing machine, yet engineered to deliver powerful throughput. Month by month, we're growing our satellite fleet, and soon we'll have not only the global spectrum rights, but the network reach to deliver truly worldwide coverage. And here's the revolutionary part. The fleet will be in low Earth orbit, 30 times closer to Earth than geostationary satellites. This gives you a stable, real-time connection with no interruption or annoying lag. What's more, our fleet always keeps moving, orbiting in a constellation design that creates seamless coverage. Each satellite uses a set of beams to cover an area the size of Alaska. Terrain is no obstacle. From its flight path and pattern, our fleet can always find your signal, so we can get you online from even the trickiest locations, with look angles that geo-satellite broadband simply can't deliver. We maintain high-grade system resilience from 2 ops centers using state-of-the-art ops concepts. Cloud architecture gives us powerful scalability and control remotely. For example, we can remove satellites at the end of their service life, so that the only trace we'll leave in space is on your screen right now. Now back to that video call of yours. We beam your data back down to Earth to our nearest satellite network portal. Then via one of our point of presence gateways, positioned in secure locations trusted by global providers, it re-enters the web. The journey you've just watched takes, at most, 1/10 of a second. And there they are. Your video call is good to start, whether with colleagues or your family back home. So you need never be out of signal or out of mind. Oneweb will connect you from unconnectable locations and keep you productive.
Yeah, so this is how the system would work for Oneweb, and don't worry, the stream whenever it will up, I know the Roscosmos stream is up, but that is in Russian, so I am trying to find one English one, and that it has time. So that's what about Oneweb, and those who are wondering what is the role of Airtel in this. So well, Oneweb recently went into bankruptcy, and the UK government and the Airtel funded it, investing around $1 billion to this satellite constellation, and now it is like funded, and 45% stake has been acquired by Bharti Global, which is an Airtel company. So yeah, that's the thing. No, it won't provide free internet. It's not a free internet which it will be providing, but it's a portable internet you can access from any location. So this is the mission profile it has. It will be aiming for a 450-kilometer orbit, but you just saw that the operational satellite orbit is at 1200 kilometers. So this is a parking orbit, you can say, and then using its own propulsion system of the satellite, it will go to its operational orbit. Okay, and this is how the configuration looks like. And talking about the Oneweb satellite, it has electrical propulsion, as you can see here, and low Earth orbit at 1200 kilometers is its operational orbit. Yeah, I mean to say it has electrical propulsion, and uses Ku band antennas to transfer the signals. The Soyuz launch vehicles I have already talked about, and yes, so the total mission duration for this mission, as you can see here, will be 5 hours and 10 minutes. So I won't be like streaming for this much of time. Maybe like when the orbital block is separated for that time, I mean plus 10 minutes or so. So you can have a look at that. Okay, this was pretty much about it, and now I can have a look at if the stream has started or not. Just wait a sec, guys. It hasn't started yet. I mean, it has started yet, but okay, just a sec. Where is he? Okay.
Готовятся к этому очень свидетелями всего этого и наблюдали к картовому столу, как происходит полностью готовы здесь.
Roscosmos stream has started. The English one has not started, so let's have a look at that only.
И, конечно же,
Сергей, спасибо тебе. Некоторые проблемы со связью, но, в общем, смысл твоего послания понятен. Видно, что ты на Восточном, Очевидно, на мобильной башне, наблюдаешь все своими глазами. Мы еще с тобой обязательно свяжемся. Спасибо, береги себя. А сейчас я предлагаю всем посмотреть, собственно, из чего состоит постоянно модернизирующаяся российская ракета «Союз-2.1Б». Смотрим.
Okay, so I can't play this thing right now, but yeah. So let me have some questions now. So you said what's the approximated charge for this internet connection every month? Well, since you can say now it has been acquired by Airtel, so you can have a pretty much look like this will be very much affordable for Indian market. It won't be like very costly. Maybe Starlink would be very costly, but this one has been acquired by Airtel, so let's see. I don't know what would be the cost of this thing. So right now you can see it is explaining the rocket, and Lord says one question: who the hell we are going launch the set like Starlink? We don't have reusable Falcon Heavy. I know we don't have reusable rocket. That's why the cost of this launch, these kind of launches, is very high. But they have got a funding of around $1 billion now, so they can afford to have 2 to 3 launches.
Космического назначения покидает технический комплекс. Он уникальный на космодроме Восточный и медленно движется к стартовой площадке.
Right now it is not operational, Preet. It's like some are in the operational orbit and some are not. So they are waiting for everything to be done properly and then they will be operated. So I think this is how the satellites were transmitted. That's what you are seeing right now. 2021 is the timeline, yeah. The Falcon 9, which was scrubbed yesterday, basically is scheduled for tomorrow now, not today. They have need to have some more time to look at the things.
Одновременно с космическими аппаратами шла подготовка российских средств выведения. Ракеты-носителя «Союз-2.1Б» и разгонного блока «Фрегат». Специалисты космического центра «Восточный» с использованием уникальной трансбордерной галереи перевезли уже собранную головную часть со спутниками в монтажно-испытательный корпус ракеты-носителя. Дальше производится стыковка головной части с третьей ступенью ракеты-носителя «Союз-2.1Б». Подготовка к старту идет параллельно с комплексом работ по обустройству космодрома «Восточный».
Оборудование изготавливается и поступает на космодром согласно графика. В настоящее время изготовлено и поставлено технологическое оборудование 12 технологических систем в полном объеме. 6 систем поставлено в этом году. Завершение поставки всей технологии конец 2021 года. Изготовление и поставка оборудования проводится согласно графику.
За 3 дня до старта, ровно в 7 часов утра, начинается вывоз ракеты космического назначения на стартовый комплекс. Расстояние в 4,5 километра специальный состав преодолевает примерно за 2 часа.
For that actually I am planning to make a Discord server in which you can join and everyone can discuss about these things. So it's in the making. Once it is done, I'll declare it public and then you can have a look at everything.
В стартовую систему происходит наезд мобильной башни обслуживания. По стартовому сооружению она перемещается по 2 на 4 специальных.
Have some subtitles also up for this. If I can, let me just see if I can. It is possible.
Предприятия отечественной ракетно-космической отрасли. Это ракеты-носители «Союз-2» производства Самарского центра «Прогресс». Разгонные блоки «Фрегат» из НПО Лавочкина в Химках. Плазменные двигатели для спутников Калининградского ОКБ «Факел». И, конечно, загрузка наших космодромов, включая новый космодром Восточный в Амурской области.
Хочу отдать должное и заказчику, и всем нашим командам, и Arianespace, и StarSem, и Oneweb. Это граждане многих национальностей здесь жили и сейчас продолжают работать здесь и в Благовещенске, и в Циолковском. И, естественно, хочу поблагодарить всю нашу кооперацию, и Цинки, и Лавочкина, и Прогресс. Вот. Так что вместе с Главкосмосом мы полностью обеспечим выполнение наших контрактных обязательств по данному проекту.
Это прямая трансляция запуска с российского космодрома «Восточный» 36 спутников связи Oneweb. Старт в 15 часов 26 минут по времени Москвы. С нашей российской стороны запуски спутников связи, иностранных спутников связи, курирует компания «Главкосмос». Это дочернее предприятие государственной корпорации, является оператором внешнеэкономической деятельности Роскосмоса. И с нами в студии заместитель начальника управления координации проектов Главкосмоса Андрей Сафронов. Андрей Юрьевич, приветствую.
Да, добрый день.
Хорошо, что вы пришли к нам. Есть к вам несколько вопросов, на которые мы надеемся получить исчерпывающий ответ. И вопрос первый. Что такое Главкосмос сегодня? Чем он славен, чем известен?
Ну, вы совершенно правильно отметили, что Главкосмос – это дочерняя организация госкорпорации Роскосмос. Главная цель деятельности – это продвижение продукции предприятий отрасли на мировом рынке, контрактация поставок с иностранными заказчиками, контроль выполнения, обеспечение выполнения обязательств по этим контрактам российскими организациями, предприятиями. Нынешний год у нас юбилейный, Главкосмосу 35 лет.
35 лет.
Да, совершенно верно.
Поздравляем.
Спасибо, спасибо большое. Вот, очень богатая история. За эти 35 лет мы сопровождали более 140 контрактов. Обеспечен запуск более 150 попутных полезных нагрузок.
Ну,
велась другая деятельность, да. Поэтому сегодня мы говорим о том, что Главкосмос прикладывает усилия для того, чтобы продвигать достижения нашей космической науки и техники, повторюсь, на мировом рынке. В 2019 году для того, чтобы наши позиции усилить, госкорпорация наделила нас полномочиями оператора внешнеэкономической деятельности, что, естественно, позволит нам, так сказать, проявить себя на этом мировом рынке с более, так сказать, правильной стороны, больше работать, добиваться. Сегодня уже есть результаты. У нас произошла контрактация с индийской организацией космической. Они работу ведут сейчас в направлении осуществления пилотируемых своих замыслов. Мы, естественно, им помогаем. Заключены контракты на поставку оборудования, различных систем, которые помогут индийским партнерам осуществить свои замыслы.
Андрей Юрьевич, проект Oneweb, о котором мы сегодня довольно много говорим и, наверное, еще будем говорить, роль Главкосмоса. В общем, она понятна, это, как вы прекрасно сказали, контрактация, то есть заключение договоров и, так сказать, обеспечение максимального эффекта от этой деятельности. Но, тем не менее, роль Главкосмоса в этом проекте.
Ну, в принципе, добавить к тому, что вы сказали, особенно нечего, потому что действительно основная цель – это обеспечение взаимодействия с иностранными заказчиками, сопровождение контрактов, сдача им работ. Соответственно, в обеспечении этой деятельности мы заключаем договора с кооперацией российских предприятий, с ними тоже ведется договорная работа, приемка работы, участие в совещаниях, в согласованиях. Помимо договорной работы, соответственно, необходимо согласовать техническую документацию.
То есть это же
это большой
объем работы, большая кооперация.
Верно, да. Нам в этой, конечно, работе очень помогают предприятия кооперации. Это РКЦ «Прогресс», АО «Цинки», АО «Инпол» Лавочкина. Все мы стараемся выполнить обязательства, которые предписаны нам контрактом.
Чем этот проект для нас интересен, с вашей точки зрения, проект Oneweb?
Ну,
интересен, перспективен, вас, да,
выгоден. Поддержу вас, это прежде всего задействование предприятий отрасли. Так сказать, задействованные мощности рабочие места обеспечены, получается какая-то прибыль, так сказать, которая направляется для дальнейшего развития. В частности, вот по космодрому Восточный хотел бы отметить следующее, что то, что пришел Oneweb на Восточный, поставило перед предприятиями очень большое количество задач. Наверное, может быть, я ошибусь, но, наверное, впервые была обеспечена доставка прибывающих космических аппаратов в аэропорт Игнатьево на космодром.
Аэропорт Благовещенска.
Да, аэропорт Благовещенска, называется он Игнатьево. Да. Значит, это не какая-то отдельная доставка, это был целый автопоезд, требующий проработки логистики, проработки элементов сопровождения. Требования у иностранных заказчиков были очень жесткие, необходимо было, так сказать, обеспечить все. Туда привезли. Следующая задача – это, значит, обеспечение рабочих мест на космодроме Восточный. Те технические комплексы, которые были там созданы к моменту прихода туда Oneweb, они по некоторым параметрам не обеспечивали те требования жесткие, которые предъявлялись иностранным заказчикам. Это рабочее место было создано, обеспечена система гарантийного энергоснабжения, была автономная система видеонаблюдения, системы связи и многое другое. Это как бы дало тоже определенный толчок к совершенствованию тех систем, которые находятся сейчас в замечательном нашем монтажном летательном комплексе.
Ну и наработан полезный опыт, который наверняка пригодится для дальнейшего укрепления наших позиций, позиций Роскосмоса на международном рынке. Андрей Юрьевич, спасибо огромное.
Пожалуйста. Андрей
Юрьевич Сафронов, руководитель управления главкосмоса. Напоминаю, мы ведем прямую трансляцию запуска аппаратов связи компании Oneweb с российского космодрома Восточный. Этот космодром расположен в Амурской области, вблизи города Циолковский, вот города с таким символическим названием. Общая площадь Восточного около 700 квадратных километров. Указ о строительстве Восточного был подписан президентом России Владимиром Путиным в 2007 году. В 2010-м в Амурской тайге был заложен символический памятный знак в честь начала работ. А уже в апреле 2016-го отсюда состоялся первый успешный пуск с выводом на орбиту трех искусственных.
I'm right now trying to work out this thing, the subtitles issue. It is kind of making some problem here. Trying to see what is the also that's why just taking time. Just give me a second and I'll try to fix this thing.
Высотой 52 метра позволяет проводить все работы по подготовке к старту в сложнейших климатических условиях. Вот сейчас на Восточном, кстати, почти минус 30. Кроме того, мобильная башня обеспечивает высочайший уровень безопасности и комфорта работников.
Восточный. Космопорт 21 века. Союз технологий и качества. Спутники выводятся на орбиту ракетой-носителем среднего класса «Союз-2» с разгонным блоком «Фрегат». Российская марка «Союз» — воплощение надежности, экологичности и качества. Дорога в космос начинается на Земле. Ракету собирают и готовят к старту здесь, в унифицированном техническом комплексе. Ступени ракеты собираются в монтажно-испытательном корпусе ракет космического назначения. В монтажно-испытательном корпусе идеальные условия подготовки аппаратов. Трансбордер – специальная галерея, которая объединила корпуса комплекса. Важная операция – заправка топливом разгонных блоков. На Восточном внедрена система круглосуточного контроля. Идет постоянная фото- и видеофиксация технологического процесса. Заключительный этап на техническом комплексе – общая сборка ракеты космического назначения. Вывоз ракеты всегда событие.
So guys, they are having some issue in their transmission, and I don't know why, but yeah, there are some issues in their transmission only. It's a bit laggy there, from the back end only. Just a sec, I'll try to find some other source. It's not working for this one. It's a problem at the back end, guys. Yesterday ISRO's launch messed up, and now this one. Wow. He didn't want to have this thing, but yeah, this thing messed up. You can see here only. Okay, so we have another one. It's a, yeah, let's switch over to this thing.
Заместитель генерального директора по стратегическому развитию организации АГАТ. Это головной научно-исследовательский институт ракетно-космической промышленности, который занимается...
You don't have to go to the Amazon rainforest or even the Lake District in Cambria. Wherever you are, we're going to be connect you.
And this is the fourth launch, isn't it, for OneWeb?
That's correct. It's the fourth launch. We had 3 successful launches so far. First launch was for our first 6 pilot satellites. They've been functioning extremely well, and that was followed by the launch of batch 1 and batch 2, 2 batches of 34 satellites each. Batch 3 today is the first batch with 36 satellites.
Yeah, which is great, isn't it? I followed all of those launches, each one of them exciting in its own right. And today, of course, we're launching 36. And so if you don't know too much about satellites, most big telecommunications satellites are in what we call geostationary orbit, a long way from Earth. They're 36,000 kilometers from our planet. But you guys are putting yours much closer to Earth, aren't you? Why is that?
We are flying 30 times closer to the surface of the Earth. So we're flying at 1,200 kilometers. And this has a clear advantage in terms of lower latency and faster internet connectivity.
So when you say latency, of course, Maurizio, means the time it takes for the signal to go up and down to the satellite and back. And that's very, very important, because the closer you are to Earth, the faster the signal can go up and down, the faster your connection is. And of course, as you know, we all want fast broadband these days. None of us want to have to wait. It has been a challenging year, though, hasn't it, Maurizio?
Absolutely. We cannot deny it has been an extremely challenging year for OneWeb and an extremely challenging year for the world. But there's no better way to close 2020, and we really look forward to start writing this new chapter of OneWeb's book.
Absolutely, indeed. It's been a tough year for you guys, of course, and it's been a tough year for everybody. One thing it has
so
highlighted...
Yes, so it is now good, guys, and we are here back, and let's listen up for everything now.
For a long time, and the pandemic has really brought this home to us now more than ever, quite literally, actually, for anybody, obviously, who's working from home or Zooming from home. Let's see how OneWeb have been preparing for today in the times of COVID.
It's really good to be back here on the factory floor, turning out satellites to complete our mission.
This is really like a resurrection from a very difficult situation.
Hardship always puts a challenge on how we relate as individuals to one another. And the whole difficulty and tragedy of COVID-19 has really pushed that to the limits.
The last statements have been a roller coaster ride. I mean, just to be totally honest.
So I am switching over to another thing, which I have done. So hope you like it.
The mission to have an impact on global communication around the world is why I'm back.
We basically took advantage of that time when we were a little bit lower on output to make sure our processes were more efficient, more effective, to improve on the machine. We've had to evolve how we actually operate. We have masks, we have social distancing, we put plastic partitions at our break tables. We've also put in testing on site So every 2 weeks, testing of everybody who works in the factory.
We've managed to keep our supply chain alive, so we started reactivating them come July. We estimate there's approximately 1,000 people around the world. So we have 30 major suppliers today. That means our teams actually have to
Okay,
cover
so
11
now it
time
is
zones.
working fine, and yes, we are guys right now T minus 19 minutes from the launch, and I'm looking really forward to this. Let's hope this thing works correctly and this launch is successful, and we have some another batch of the OneWeb satellites into the space. Yes, this is a joint mission. I mean, the OneWeb initially is funded by Arianespace, means the France, as well as the Airbus USA. Okay, and then after it went into bankruptcy recently, then the UK government and the Bharti Airtel invested in the company to save this thing, save this company, and now the investment for the OneWeb was around $1 billion, so that's why they have now continuing their operation. Otherwise, they were only maintaining the satellite operation of the satellites which were already in the orbit, and some of those satellites literally were not even in the operational orbits. They were like in the parking orbit of 450 kilometers. So today also they are aiming for that only, 450-kilometer polar orbit from the Russia, and let's hope this launch is successful.
I think that our leadership has relayed a great message to everybody as far as the health of the company.
So guys, if you have any other question, you can ask me and I'll try to answer them. Any question regarding this thing or rocket science in general, you can ask me.
By the end of 2022, we are planning to cover the entire planet.
That mission alone, keeps a lot of people motivated.
2020's been really tough, and I cannot think of a better way to end it. It's a new beginning in many ways.
A new beginning indeed, and with all that remarkable team spirit. I can't believe they had to speak 8 languages. You saw the satellites at one stage during that film going off in a big aeroplane, a specially designed aeroplane, especially to carry great big satellites. But what happened once they actually arrived in Vostochny? Well, every launch has something called a launch campaign, when the satellites and the rocket are prepared for liftoff. And for anyone who's unfamiliar with a launch, we do have to build a new rocket every time.
Exactly.
So today we are flying on board a Soyuz. The parts are manufactured in Russia and sent to the cosmodrome where the rocket is assembled. And then in the meantime, once the satellites arrive, they have to be tested and connected to the rocket. Usually the teams are on site at the spaceport for several weeks to do that, and sometimes even several months. So I guess everybody gets to know each other pretty well, Maurizio.
Very well indeed. They've been spending 1 month together. And the team left the 15th of November, and took them about 48 hours to arrive to the cosmodrome. They landed at an airport close to the Chinese border, and then they traveled, 300 kilometers, with the satellites, to the spaceport. Once the satellites have arrived at the spaceport, the usual checks before integration started. What does it really entail is visual inspection, health checks, charging the batteries, and then the satellites are integrated, on the dispenser.
And of course, that long journey you talked about is because Vostochny is in Siberia. So I'm guessing that the weather conditions are pretty extreme over there.
They are. Weather's been actually pretty benign so far.
Okay.
Temperature averaging between minus 30 centigrade and minus 20 centigrade degrees.
It's benign, yeah.
No heavy snowfall so far. What is interesting is that in the trip between the airport and the launch base is about 300 kilometers. That trip took about 6-7 hours. And the reason why is that the crew had to stop every hour, 90 minutes, to check that the generators that keep the satellites warm inside the transport containers are still working properly. And apparently there is a Siberian tiger reserve around, so they actually had to keep an eye on Siberian tigers as well.
Oh my goodness, that's remarkable. So they didn't have to stop for a herd. I don't think we say a herd of tigers, do we? But a pack of tigers crossing the road in front of them.
Luckily, no strange encounters.
But how remarkable to have the privilege of seeing Siberian tigers. This is the fourth launch of Oneweb satellites, as we've said, and of course the third this year. And Arianespace have been in charge of all of those launches. Previously, we launched from Europe's own spaceport. It's called the Guiana Space Center. It's in Amazonia in South America, right on the northeastern coast on the equator. So the weather's very different there, lots of mosquitoes. And the other one we've launched from is Russia's cosmodrome Baikonur. That's in Kazakhstan, in the steppes of Kazakhstan. Today, we're on the pad at Vostochny, of course, and the Arianespace teams are there. And also in France, the CEO of Arianespace is Stéphane Israel, and Stéphane joins us live from their Paris headquarters. They are in Evry, where Stéphane is heading up today's flight desk. Hi, Stéphane. Are you with us? Great to have you with us. Thank you very much indeed, Stéphane. How are things looking in Paris and Vostochny?
So things are looking very well in Vostochny. You know that we are now a few minutes before the launch, and we are here in Paris with a part of the team. We have just behind me the team of Arianespace monitoring the last operations before the launch in close contact with all our colleagues in Vostochny.
And as you say, you've set up a special room there, haven't you, in Evry?
Yes,
Exactly.
so it's definitely, yes, we have this special organization in Evry to make sure that we follow all what we have to follow. And what is quite remarkable is that we make the first launch from Vostochny, as you have underlined.
So can you tell us a little bit more, Stéphane, about today's mission? Because, of course, it's a very important day, isn't it? Because it marks the resumption of flight for OneWeb.
Exactly.
Yes, so it is the fourth launch for OneWeb today. We have already delivered one launch from the Guyana Space Center in 2019, then 2 launches from Baikonur at the beginning of this year, and we are now back with OneWeb from Vostochny. It is the first commercial launch from Vostochny, and this mission will embark 36 satellites due to the localization of Vostochny, which is 2 more satellites than what we can embark from Baikonur.
And so why did you choose the Vostochny cosmodrome, Stéphane?
Yeah, that's a question.
For the reason that it gives us an additional launch pad. We have already the possibility to launch Soyuz from 2 launch pads, which are the Guyana Space Center and Baikonur. And Vostochny is a brand new cosmodrome, a Russian cosmodrome, which is fully available for Soyuz. And the fact that we have now 3 launch pads to deploy OneWeb will allow us to speed up the deployment and the future launches.
So it gives you lots and lots of flexibility, doesn't it, as a launch service provider? And of course, any launch involves a huge amount of people and a huge amount of complex activities. Just tell us a little bit, Stéphane, about how you've been able to mount such a big event for today.
So for sure, we have all our Russian partners who are responsible for the Soyuz 3 stage, for the Fregat upper stage, our Russian partners who can belong either to industry or to the agency or dear Roscosmos. So this is a part of the team. After, for the campaign, you have the team of the customer or dear customer OneWeb. You have as well some of our industrial partners, such as RUAG, responsible for the dispenser, and for sure the Arianespace and the StarSem team. So it means that now in Vostochny you have a real international team, and I think space is also about international cooperation. So this is a very positive message.
Space is an international collaboration.
Thank you very much
industry.
indeed, Stéphane, for joining us. Stéphane Israel, who is now heading off to continue monitoring events as we get closer
So guys, we are right now T-minus 10 minutes and 30 seconds towards the launch and counting. And Angel, yes, the Falcon 9 launch has been shifted towards the Saturday. The upper right corner is the countdown time to the launch. Yes, that's the thing. So this is the launch pad. I think that's what they are having now. Okay, let's have a look. I can't play this thing. I don't know whether I have a permission to have the music played, so I will mute this thing. But you can see it's a very snowy weather there, and Soyuz actually launches during such a snow weather. Well, it's a 3D model, but at that time also and today also we are having snow there. Not a heavy snowfall as he mentioned, but yeah, snow is there. So Soyuz is a pretty tough rocket which can actually uh, fight the snow. This is the encapsulation of the satellites Baikonur and Vostochny. Yes, the Vostochny is the new one they have gone with, and the Baikonur is yeah, the major and the power, you can say, the workhorse of the Roscosmos launches. So as you can see on the fairing only, we have a flag of the UK and as well as India, and it is pretty self-explanatory why it is so, because they have invested $1 billion in total amount to save this company, and acquires a pretty good amount of stake. So maybe this launch with these kind of flags on the fairing denotes a thank you message from Oneweb, and that's why they are having this thing. I believe that's the reason. So hi everyone. So now the Soyuz launch vehicle is being lifted towards the launch pad, onto the launch pad I mean, and then it will be lifted. So this Soyuz rocket itself is a very unique in its kind. First of all, it's a very old rocket, I mean, and the most reliable one till date. So yeah.
Being prepared there, Maurizio. We're going to head back to Evry now and to Vincent Baudel, who is the Advanced Studios Director at Arianespace. He's going to help us with any technical questions we have about the rocket. Hi, Vincent. Great to have you with us.
Hi, Kitty, and hello, everybody.
Hi. Well, what's happening? Well, first of all, let's talk about the rocket. As we've said many times, we're launching on board Soyuz. She's very reliable, isn't she?
Exactly, it is.
Yes, the Soyuz launch vehicle, so the famous one, has been introduced in the 60s, and it represents a workhorse of the Russian Soviet space program. So it is a reliable and efficient solution for a full range of missions. It covers an unrivaled heritage. So imagine more than 1,925 launches to date. So, and it has performed almost every type of mission. So telecom satellites, constellation, of course, but also Earth observation, weather, scientific mission, and also manned spacecraft. So it is a very flexible launch vehicle, yes.
And how are things looking at the moment, Vincent, from your end in the countdown?
So 5 hours ago, the State Commission authorized the fueling of the Soyuz with propellant. So operation completed 1 hour ago approximately. And after that, the mobile gantry, which protects the launcher and the launch pad, was removed. And 10 minutes before liftoff, the Fregat upper stage sent the readiness of the upper composite to the Soyuz. So all key indicators are on green for ground and on board. And so far, final ops are running as expected, yes.
And we've got a long journey ahead. We've got lots of satellites to drop off at different locations. It's a complex mission for the Soyuz spacecraft, Soyuz rocket, and it's going to take just under 4 hours. Vincent, do you want to talk us through what's going to happen after liftoff?
Yes, so, well, the mission will start with the 4 booster phase, so for a duration of 2 minutes. After the separation, the second stage of the launch vehicle, so-called the central core, will take the reins during less than 3 minutes, and the fairing will be jettisoned. A few seconds before separation of the core stage, the third stage will be ignited, and the central core will be then separated. 9 minutes and 22 seconds after the liftoff, the third stage will be separated from the nose module, and after that, the Fregat upper stage mission will start with the first ignition of the main engine in order to reach the intermediate transfer orbit, so followed by a long ballistic phase. So a second ignition will be performed for circularization and injection onto the satellite separation orbit. And the satellite release sequence will start with first the separation of the 4 satellites integrated on the top conical part of the dispenser, and then successive separations of the 32 satellites integrated on the cylindrical part of the dispenser from the top row to the bottom row, 4 satellites at once. So as you can see on the 3D animation, it means that 9 separation events are necessary for the complete release of the 36 satellites, yes. So between each separation event, the sequence is identical. So 19 minutes, which consists in a series of maneuvers. So firstly, a tilting of the nose module, then a boost of the Fregat attitude control system with a very small delta V during few seconds, and then a new tilting of the nose module to the required orientation for spacecraft separation. So the separation itself is ordered by the Fregat upper stage. So it is a smooth separation ensured by relaxation of specific springs. And at the end of this complex release, so it occurs a little bit less than 5 hours after the liftoff, with the 9th and last satellite separation.
So that's the plan after liftoff.
So you can see it's like a 5-hour mission for this thing. So it's a very big time-consuming mission, I should say that.
Are they?
They are not yet drinking champagne, Katie. The satellites are kept nice and cozy inside, the top of the rocket, and the OneWeb launch team is monitoring through the umbilicals the status of the battery.
So it's always a tense moment, these last few minutes before launch. We're 3 minutes now, 9 seconds. Everybody's focusing hard in the control centers in various parts of the world. Vincent, just talk us through, very briefly now, some of the events that we're going to see just before launch.
So the beginning of the launch vehicle final automatic sequence has been initiated manually at H0 minus 5 minutes approximately, with a turn of key in start position, so an operation called in Kluchna start in Russian. So after that, purging operation are as well ongoing, and on Fregat, the transfer has been done to the onboard power supply. So now we are 2 minutes and 25 seconds before liftoff. So the umbilical connector are separated, and in the meantime, perform pressurization of the Soyuz 3-stage tanks. After 45 seconds before liftoff, the Soyuz 3-stage, there will be the transfer to the onboard power. And after, there will be the beginning of the ignition sequence. So it is a progressive increasing of the thrust level. So the ignition will occur 16 seconds before liftoff. First with preliminary thrust level at 11 seconds before liftoff. Then an intermediate thrust level, so 4 seconds before liftoff. And finally, at liftoff time, the full thrust level.
So yes, guys, right now we are T-minus 1 minute and 22 seconds and counting, and it is coming to the time when it will be launched, and I'm really excited for this thing. So let's see how this thing works and if we have a good launch today. Let's hope everything is good now.
The entire OneWeb team. There's a lot of excitement and a bit of tension, just the right level to keep us on our toes. And a big thank you in this final moment to everyone that has been involved.
So guys, watch out for the ignition to begin at T-minus 16 seconds.
We are now 49 seconds to the scheduled liftoff time. We're looking there, we can see the pictures of the launcher on the pad. It's dark, of course, so we're not seeing it very clearly, but let's close the mics down now and watch the launch.
Exactly, we want to see the launch, how it will work now. It's happening, guys, it's happening, and I don't know how the animations will work. Will they be in sync or not? I don't know. Let's hope. Okay, so there is something, guys.
Есть переход блока И на бортовое питание 30-й. Есть отрыв. Есть мачта 30-й.
There has been something now.
Есть отрыв холодный пневмоколодок блока И 70-й.
If someone knows Russian, can they explain what is happening right now?
И боковых блоков вышли на режим главной ступени. 10 секунд. Параметры системы управления ракеты-носителя в норме.
Clock has been stopped. That's not the issue. It will be. What? Are we hearing something? Oh, there is a launch.
And they are off. The next batch of Oneweb satellites have started their journey on board Soyuz flight number ST-29, blazing a trail across the Siberian skies. We are looking there at the boosters, 4 of them burning, and they use a lot of firepower to get us away from the gravity of our planet. They're doing all the work right now. They burn for just under 2 minutes, and if we're lucky, we might even see them separating with the naked eye, because what we're looking at here is a nice, clean sky, clear sky. So we're very lucky.
I don't know.
Very lucky tonight, and we're back.
Absolutely, Maurizio. We've lifted off. It's a long way to go, but you're back in action.
Exactly.
Back in action, absolutely. Our next 36 satellites, our batch 3 is on the way. And let's look what's going to happen over the next 4 hours. It's a bit of a long way to go, but looking forward to it.
And I think we are just seeing now the jettisoning of the boosters. Are we? We should see 4
Well, they
dots.
have changed every flight sequence. I mean,
separating, we can see there it's going higher and higher into the sky, heading deeper and deeper into space.
guys, the mission timeline which they provided for this mission is totally messed up.
The next event is
And we didn't see even the liftoff at T+0 seconds.
Let's go back to you, Vincent. Have you got any news for us from your end?
Yes, so yes, we have the confirmation of the separation of the booster. Yes, so it is a good news. So we are getting the information from the team in the CVI. So the CV in French, so it means the control visual media. So this operation team is tracking the launch vehicle and receive the telemetry data from it, so they can consequently confirm major events when.
See, this is the thing. I was trying to improve the animations and improve the stream with the animation, but they have totally changed the timeline of the events, and that's why I can't have the animations now, because I have those. The timeline will not match then.
Point at which basically you have to use rocket science to stay up, because you can't use vehicles with wings anymore. And so we are getting close to separation of the fairing. Do you have any information yet on that, Vincent?
230 секунд. Параметры конструкции ракеты-носителя в норме. секунд. Тангаж, рыскание, вращение в норме.
So we're still seeing those beautiful images there, quite remarkable. And we are scheduled to have lost our fairing, I think, by now, but we'll
pairing
be
separation
waiting
is
for
done.
Vincent to get those confirmations.
And here we go, at
And
least
we're
the
getting
animations are here.
confirmation
So
here
what
that second
we
stage
confirm-
is working nominally. We're burning the second stage right now because we've had the separations. So
confirm the separation of the second stage and of the fairing, so ignition of the third stage as well. Yes.
I mean, guys,
So
after the
OneWeb's gonna give us
this event, I'll show you the timelines. Just listen, see this is the fairing separated at t plus 5 minutes and some seconds, and the timeline which they released of all the events were totally different.
The World Wide Web has never been worldwide.
So we
But
have seen
OneWeb's
this
new
thing.
and truly global 5G ready network will fix that. Say you're working on the edge of the world and need to do a video call. Perhaps you're mid-ocean or mid-air. Wherever you are, you'll have a signal. OneWeb will connect your device through a customized terminal that can be as small as a briefcase and just as compact. Whatever your location, the terminal encrypts your data and sends it at high speed to our satellite fleet passing overhead. These spacecraft are radically innovative, built in our own factory at 1/50th the traditional time and cost, shrunk to the size of a washing machine, yet engineered to deliver powerful throughput. Month by month, we're growing our satellite fleet, and soon we'll have not only the global spectrum rights, but the network reach to deliver truly worldwide coverage. And here's the revolutionary part. The fleet will be in low Earth orbit, 30 times closer to Earth than geostationary satellites. This gives you a stable, real-time connection with no interruption or annoying lag. What's more, our fleet always keeps moving, orbiting in a constellation design that creates seamless coverage. Each satellite uses a set of beams to cover an area the size of Alaska. Terrain is no obstacle. From its flight path and pattern, our fleet can always find your signal, so we can get you online from even the trickiest locations, with look angles that geo-satellite broadband simply can't deliver. We maintain high-grade system resilience from 2 ops centers using state-of-the-art ops concepts. Cloud architecture gives us powerful scalability and control remotely. For example, we can remove satellites at the end of their service life, so that the only trace we'll leave in space is on your screen right now. Now back to that video call of yours. We beam your data back down to Earth to our nearest satellite network portal. Then via one of our point of presence gateways, positioned in secure locations trusted by global providers, it re-enters the web. The journey you've just watched takes, at most, 1/10 of a second. And there they are. Your video call is good to start, whether with colleagues or your family back home. So you need never be out of signal or out of mind. OneWeb will connect you from unconnectable locations and keep you productive on the move. It'll be a breakthrough year when OneWeb technology creates real human progress, connecting everywhere for everyone.
So guys, yes, the Huawei is made in China, a Chinese company. 5G devices are not all Huawei, so yeah.
Exciting today, we're launching, but while we're launching, we have
And
the factory.
Octagrabber, yes, the animation was a bit late, and they actually have not followed the timeline which they released, and that's why I can't have my own animations also on this. And yes, Veena, I had animations planned, but I can't do it now because of that.
So we're burning the third stage at the moment. Everything's going normally. Everything's going according to plan. So far, so good. Vincent, we're getting ready to switch the engine off, aren't we? Or Fregat's getting ready to switch it on?
Yes, Katie. We are getting to... Fregat is getting ready to switch on its main engine. So it is the first stage called the pre-burn phase, so during 55 seconds. So it's giving a quick burst acceleration, so to push the fluids back in the tank. So it is like when you accelerate in the car, when you get pinned back against the seat. So it is the first step of the Fregat mission. So this first ignition enables to inject the nose module to the intermediate transfer orbit. So it is an elliptical orbit, and the duration of this burn is just over 5 minutes. In the meantime, I can confirm that the third stage is separated, and it works. It has worked totally nominally, yes. And the first Fregat burn is as well confirmed.
So that's good. We've got confirmations there that everything's working normally. Everything's going according to plan. And just a quick description of what we're looking at here. You can see the third stage, the blue, obviously blue flame is the engine burning. Then the black disk and the silver disk are the third stage. Then we've got the gold structure. That's the frigate upper stage. And then we've got the satellites attached. And this is the scheduled moment now to switch off the upper stage engine. And we should see that then separating. There we go. It looks like that in space. These are CGI images which have been designed to show us what's happening up there in space. So now the next thing, as Vincent was just telling us about, Maurizio, is the ignition of the frigate upper stage. It's that gold structure there, and it's got all sorts of things on it. It's the brain of the whole vehicle. It's got the onboard computer. It can switch its engine on and off a number of different times while it's in space, and that of course makes it perfect for delivering all kinds of satellites to all kinds of orbits. And you could call
right now which you are seeing is the Fregat upper stage with the 36 Oneweb satellites, and the Fregat burn should be happening in some time now, but I don't know. I actually wanted to improve the stream. I know what. So here we have the one ignition of the Fregat stage. So yeah, I was saying I was trying to improve the stream coverage, but the timeline which they released was totally different from actual events. You just saw that it didn't had any lift off at t+0 seconds. Okay.
Prestige product.
So okay, so this is a kind of a thing which I can't play right now, but if you have any other questions, you guys, you can ask me. And if I tell you guys the fairing jettison, the scheduled time of the fairing jettison was t+3 minutes and 35 seconds, and it actually happened at t+5 minutes and 30 seconds or so, and we didn't even have a liftoff at t+0 seconds. I mean, how? If for some reason they have shifted the liftoff time and everything, so Arianespace should have updated at least the launch timeline so that we could have known. But yeah, it's okay. Now it is like that only. So these satellites will right now go into a polar orbit of 450 kilometers, low Earth orbit, and then it will ignite. Basically, Fregat stage will reignite and shut down several times during its flight to deploy all the satellites into the space. Right now they are carrying 36 satellites, and then all the satellites will be deployed. And this for this mission, this is the highest number of the satellites Oneweb is being deployed, because in the previous mission 34 satellites were taken into the orbit, but for this 36 are taken. So yeah. Soyuz rocket color changed in the launch. Yes, it has been changed. Soyuz has had a number of paint job done, and yes, that's what it is.
Base. Components arrive at the building in a steady stream from a supply chain that stretches around the world. 2 weeks later, finished satellites emerge from the other side at a rate of up to 2 per day. In between is the assembly line, where engineers, technicians, tools, and robotics take part in a complex dance of creation. They build components into standard modules, and automated vehicles carry them to an assembly station, where teams assemble them into finished satellites. At each step, there are automated tests to check quality. Satellites that fail are sidelined for repair. And the testing isn't finished when the satellite is in one piece. It goes next into one of 32 special chambers for 2 days of testing to make sure it can survive the trauma of rocket launch and work reliably in the airless, blazing, and freezing conditions it will meet in space. Only when it has passed this battery of tests is it ready to be racked and stacked for its journey to the launch pad. Forecasters see an exciting future for space and satellite. Step by step, we are laying the foundations of a $1 trillion space economy, reaching from the Earth to the Moon and Mars. And with each step, life on Earth gets better. Fewer lives are lost to disaster, disease, and poverty. More food reaches the hungriest thanks to data from space. More people connect to broadband by satellite. And new industries begin putting the limitless resources of space to work for everyone. Rocket launches are thrilling, and rocket landings are a marvel. But it is on the humble assembly line that the future is taking shape every day. Space and satellite, the world's invisible, indispensable technologies. Brought to you by Space and Satellite Professionals International, with the support of Oneweb satellites. Additional support provided by AVL Technologies.
It's so exciting, isn't it? It's a new era in space. It's a new chapter. And of course, OneWeb's leading the way.
Yes, absolutely. And the analogy with the car manufacturing is spot on. And we're really changing, the paradigm of manufacturing satellites.
Yeah, really, quite literally, and changing how satellites are built and how people think about the manufacturing of satellites. So the Fregat upper stage is working normally. We know that we're burning the end of the Fregat upper and coming towards the end of the burn of the Fregat upper stage. And we're coming to the next phase, which is when it's going to switch off its engine, which will take us into really the next phase of the flight, as it were. So we will await for confirmation of that. But just to explain, ballistics, a ballistic phase, as we call it, actually means traveling without the engine. And we can see there, that's what it looks like. It's switched the scheduled time for it to switch its engine
So guys, I think I need to stop the stream right now. As you can see, the mission is kind of successful because the orbit has been reached. The thing is, why I'm not streaming this whole, because I have my work to do, and it will this mission whole timeline is for like T+5 hours. And I can't stream for 5 hours. I have a work to do. So yeah, now that's what we had for this mission. Now only thing is left is Fregat stage ignition multiple times, and then the satellites deployment. So yeah, that's the only thing. Hi Roger, I am good. How are you? And do join me tomorrow at around this time only for this SpaceX Falcon 9 launch with the NROL 108 mission, which was scrubbed due to some engine issue. Second stage pressure tank, sorry, yeah, not an engine issue, but the fuel tank pressure was slightly high in the second stage. So let's hope they figure that out and we have a launch tomorrow. So yes, so thank you so much guys for tuning in, and I really hope that you will join in for tomorrow also. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until then, this is Priyanshu Roila. You just saw